We are in a sea of red in the crypto market, but let's actually dive into what is happening, why Bitcoin is crashing, why the crypto market is following behind Bitcoin, and talk about some perspective going forward because I think that a lot of this has been missed by a lot of what I've been seeing on my timeline. And so to shed some light on what's going on and what I perceive for the future of Bitcoin and crypto, let's just look at some data. How about that? Okay, so let's look at the Bitcoin chart first. If we look at what we've been seeing over the past few days, Bitcoin reached almost 103 grand the other day, and it has fallen since. We're starting to see a little bit of a bump up, and that's good to see right now in such a turbulent market. But I just want to scroll out a minute here and show you guys where we're currently at. If you look at the long-term chart and where we've come from since 2017, you'll see that we're still at near all-time highs, right? We reached $108,000. That's currently our all-time high for Bitcoin. And so when you look at the chart like this, it really adds some perspective there, right? But where do we go from here? Well, let's first talk about some other things. Let's look at how the stock market is doing right now. On the month, the NASDAQ is down almost 2%, which is actually a pretty large amount in the stock market. The S&P 500 on the month is down almost 3%. Again, a very large move in the stock market. So it's not just Bitcoin that is following this trend. It's actually the stock market as well. Well, let's dive into why that is. Here's Neil Dutta's take on this, and this gives us a bigger picture of what's happening in the overall market, not just crypto, because again, we have to take more of a macro approach to what the outlook is going to be in the future. So here's his take on what's happening in the mortgage markets to give us a better understanding. And this guy works for a huge money manager company, so he knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this for a very long time. Here's what he said. A few things on my mind. Housing is simply not working. Mortgage demand is crumbling. For the week ending January 3rd, mortgage loan applications for purchase sank 6.6%, the fourth decline in the last 5 weeks. The level of conventional purchase applications hit its lowest since 2011, and the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is back to 7%. Now, that's unsustainable for anybody that's trying to go out and buy their first home. It's unsustainable for even people that are trying to buy their second or third homes. So what we're seeing here is that the housing market is collapsing right in front of us. People don't have enough money to afford a loan. People don't want to spend that much on the APR of these mortgages. And so less people are going out and buying homes. Well, what does that mean across the board? It means that interest rates are way too high in a lot of regards. You can't take out a business loan if interest rates are too high. There are so many things that get affected by these rate hikes, and we have to keep all of this in mind when we're talking about investments like Bitcoin and crypto. On top of that, we've got the Federal Reserve saying that they're worried about Trump's policies coming into power on January 20th, saying that he might spur inflation. Well, when you've got the Federal Reserve clashing with the incoming administration, that can create problems in the market. It creates worry, it creates doubt. And that's exactly what we're seeing here in both the stock market and the crypto market. But here is the big story that is on everybody's mind in crypto right now. US is cleared to sell $6.5 billion in Bitcoin. Will it crash Bitcoin price? This is on Cointelegraph. I really hate this clickbaity title. I do, because the answer to that question should be easy. If the US were to sell $6.5 billion in Bitcoin, first of all, the question shouldn't be, will it? I don't think that it will. And even if it does, We're already hearing from this new administration that they plan to create a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So what are they going to do? They're just going to sell all this Bitcoin and then the US is going to buy it back? It doesn't make any sense. But beyond that, let's take a look at what is actually occurring. Essentially, a judge stated that the Department of Justice could go ahead and sell this if it wanted to. That should be the headline. Judge rules that the DOJ can sell its Bitcoin from its acquisition of the Silk Road Bitcoin. This story, though, has played into something much greater. A lot of people are creating the narrative that the US has already sold this. Well, Arkham Intel put out a tweet saying the US government is selling all their Bitcoin. Check the chain, it's still there. If you actually go to Arkham and search for the US government Silk Road Bitcoin, you'll find that it is still exactly where it was before. A lot of it is just creating FUD for no reason. I really like this tweet right here because it shows the amounts of Bitcoin held by governments and Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox is another worrying concern for a lot of people that has created a lot of FUD recently in the news over the past couple of weeks. Well, if we look at how much Mt. Gox actually holds of Bitcoin comparatively to the United States government and the Chinese government, it's nowhere near as much. And so if I'm not worried about what's happening with the US government held Bitcoin, then the Mt. Gox Bitcoin should be of no concern. When we start talking about how these markets work, we can't just talk about how much is going to be sold, right? Because there's always going to be buys on the other side of those sells. Now, could that create a lot of worry and panic and a lot of sell pressure from others in the market? Yes, but there's always going to be more people there to purchase as well. So keep that in mind, guys. On top of that, I wanted to share with you guys what BlackRock is doing. Because in order to look at what you should do as a small investor, medium-sized investor, or large investor, look at what the really big investors are doing. BlackRock hasn't sold any of its Bitcoin holdings. They're keeping them at exactly where they're at. And we can view this on Arkham Intelligence. Again, not only that, they're purchasing more. What we see here is a steady growth of Bitcoin purchases over the past year. And they continue to add to their holdings. So if that's what their plan is moving forward, what do you think that's going to do to the price of Bitcoin if large investors like this continue to add to their portfolio? This guy, Jackie, on Twitter posted a really good tweet that hasn't gotten a lot of love. I'm going to go ahead and like it right now, but it wraps up everything that I've been trying to say really eloquently. Are you worried about the $6.5 billion Silk Road Bitcoin marking the cycle top? Here's some things to look at. Trump is 11 days until taking office. Regulatory clarity is coming. $36 billion of inflows into the Bitcoin ETF since its inception. Michael Saylor buying $1.5 billion average of Bitcoin per week. Gary Gensler is leaving the SEC. Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Domestic mining support is coming. And crypto leadership is coming. So keep all of that in mind. Look at what the big players are doing. Look at what other crypto investors are doing in the market and decide what you need to do. Now, obviously, if you're up big, it might be time to take some profits. Who knows? Every single person is going to have a different strategy and a different need. These are just my thoughts. I'm just a guy on YouTube, so take everything that I say with a grain of salt. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do me that solid. That's going to be it for this one. Capital Recon, out.